We just take a moment to extend praise and thanks to Jean and Guy for your beautiful version of Joni Mitchell's Blue. I'm thinking right now of Sufi poet Rumi, who has said that there are 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground, and I think that might have been one of them. I mean that. And thank you to Joni Mitchell, one of the greatest musicians of our time. I call her a prophet, for she carries messages from beyond, right? I was introduced to her album, Blue, in high school. The whole album is called Blue, not just that song. And I wore that cassette tape out. You remember cassette tapes? When was the last time you thought of a cassette tape? Remember when you would rewind or forward and it would right at the between the songs and it was like victory. It's the small things. All right, I digress. There wasn't much need to forward through any of the songs on Blue. For every song is masterful. And the entirety of the album, taken in sequence, is like riding a blessed wave. If you could paint it, it would most certainly resemble one of those rainbow glass marbles I talked about earlier, the landscape of human emotion, life in its fullness, all represented and intermingling in bright and subdued color, bleeding into each other. That album is made up of homesickness, grief, jubilation, nostalgia, ruckus joy, painful despair, hopefulness, hopelessness. It's all there. It's sublime. Take the 36 minutes this week and listen to it. I promise you will not regret it. And the song that Jean sung for us today, Blue, Mitchell's great lamentation song, it's found at the midway point of this album, and she was interviewed in 1971 when the album was released and spoke about writing the song Blue, and she said, "At that period of my life, I had no personal defenses. I felt like a cellophane wrapper on a pack of cigarettes. I felt like I couldn't pretend in my life to be strong or to be happy. But the advantage of it in the music," she said, "was that there were no defenses there either." Blue, here is a song for you. Joni sings, Blue, I love you. Some of you know that I worked as a church administrator for 5 years. I call it my first ministry, for it was. And it was at a Presbyterian church. And it was there that I learned about Blue Christmas. I wasn't raised in the Christian tradition, so that was my first introduction to it. Every year, an evening service would take place sometime in December that allowed folks who were struggling amid the joyfulness of the season to have a place, a worship service. Let it all hang out. And Blue Christmas services are traditionally held at night. Many of our UU sibling congregations do hold them at night. They don't get a prime Sunday morning slot normally. And it makes sense to look at the blanket of night sky and the stillness of evening hours as a good place to hold our sorrows and struggles, to let our defenses down. The aesthetic of dimmed light, it matches the dark night of the soul. It's a beautiful time to do it. But those days as an administrator at Old South Presbyterian Church, folding those orders of service in preparation for the evening, made me think how compelling and right it would be to place that service on a Sunday morning, and even better, put it on the third Sunday of Advent, which is known to be the Sunday of joy in the Christian liturgical calendar. And this third Advent, its symbolism, it reminds Christians of the joy that the world experienced through the birth of Jesus, that we are at this midpoint of Advent and the big day's almost here. Rejoice, rejoice, Christians sing on Sunday mornings. Put sadness on a Wednesday night. Leave it over there. But the thing about Jesus, and this is why putting the Blue Christmas service on a Sunday morning in the bright light of day is compelling and right as far as I'm concerned. The thing about Jesus is that he contained multitudes. He symbolizes the balance between shadow and light, despair and hope, joy and sorrow. He is the album Blue embodied in its entirety. Yeah. And this is what his ministry and prophetic message was all about, how we too, you and I, contain multitudes. We've just forgotten. We've become bifurcated and split, stuck in binaries, right? High-octane joy or pummeling sorrow, which is it? Hopeful or hopeless? Choose. Celebrate, sing out, be merry, rejoice, give freely of yourself because it's Christmas, or what? Be a Grinch or a Scrooge? Bah humbug. We just don't do gray very well. We haven't been taught how to do gray very well. So Jesus serves as one of the many, many prophets through the ages who helps us with this, just like Joni Mitchell. Reminds us of the bothness that we contain, the multitudes. I wonder how in the world we went from this understanding of Jesus in the season to where we are now. So many of us find this year downright oppressive because it seems to demand that joy be at those controls 24/7 and that we should feel badly if we can't get there. And yet so many of us as human beings, we're struggling with depression or serious mental health issues. We're feeling helpless as we watch our loved ones struggle with these things. Some of us are disconnected from families. That's real. Feeling alone. Christmas only makes this worse. Some of us have lost people we love, and this time of year seems to shine a spotlight on this in ways unbearable. So many parents right now in 2021 are seeing that their kids are not the same as they used to be this time of year, and they're scared. And many can barely make ends meet, and the financial strain of the season is indescribably stressful. Many of us are just plain exhausted. Yeah, I could probably say, can I get an amen? Yeah, exhausted. And trying to pull off Christmas the way it is prescribed to us this year is daunting. Can you hear me when I tell you that all of this belongs here too? That the true nature of this season is the celebration of multitudes, the whole blessed human experience, the whole album, folks. And please hear this. Please hear this. Joy is a wonderful, beautiful thing to strive for, and it exists in all of us right now, too. Of course it does. I want you, and I am preaching to myself here too, so please know we're in this together, all right? I want us all to resist the urge to supplant one with the other. That is what I want us to resist. I would like us to hold it all like our beautiful tray of light here. You know, being at Joanna Erickson's house over these past days, which has been the greatest of honors. My God, does it exemplify what this looks and feels like for the pain and tears and rawness of her loss? It is palpable, and for those of us who have been holding her hands and sitting with her and praying with her, we have felt, and she has also felt, great joy in the telling of stories and in the togetherness. It's all there. It's all there. The defenses are down, the multitudes of the human experience made manifest. It's heartbreaking and beautiful. How is this so? Great mystery. How is this so? Right? The Lebanese-American writer Khalil Gibran, he dedicates a whole chapter to the mysteries of joy and sorrow in his masterpiece, The Prophet. And his words have been on my mind all week, so I thought I'd share some of his wisdom with you this morning. This seems a good time for it. He writes, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. And the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. How else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. And when you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight." Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, he writes, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. They are inseparable. So you see why I love that we are putting a blue Christmas service on a Sunday morning. Let us bring this into the light of morning and make them inseparable. Let us, as our poet Mary Oliver writes, let us come closer to grief and be surprised by the laughter that comes. And she writes, so I went practicing, because we have to practice, right? And so this morning and in the days ahead, let us practice this. I have with me today this basket of blue ribbons, which we are going to bless together in a moment here. I hope that you will take one of these with you today. And if you are here in person, and I have something planned for you at home, so don't worry, we're not leaving you out. Never, never. I want you to take one with you, and I'd like for you to take some time, if you are called to it, to imbue a ribbon with whatever you have on your heart that feels broken. Let your broken-heartedness abound into this ribbon. Hold it in your hands. Let it really seep in. And then I would ask that you take it outside and tie it to the magnolia tree. I learned it was a magnolia tree by Sue Dem. We think we have this right. It's in that circle of green, right? And you're going to see already a few tied there, so you'll know where to go. And I'm going to put these ribbons in a sealed plastic container at the base of the tree. So for those of you at home, I hope you'll come by church and tie a ribbon to the tree. Or if you can't get here, reach out, ask someone. I would be honored to tie one on your behalf. That's what we do here, right? We got you. So I want to say one more thing before I bless these ribbons and say a bit more about this. For those of you who are finding this year to be the greatest of joys and you're just not feeling any of this, first of all, yes, amen, and welcome, right? You belong here too. I still want you to take part in this and feel you have a place in this, so maybe you can tie one on behalf of someone else or a place in this world that is broken-hearted, okay? So let's begin. Let's bless this together. I'm not going to be the only one. I'm going to put my hand on top of these ribbons. If you want to hold your hands out, do it if you feel called to it. So let us join our hearts together in the spirit of blessing. And all of the hands that are extended, let them be conduits. Let the energies from them make their way to these ribbons, and let them feel the energies that I am putting into them. They are energies of love. May the power of this place and this people live in these blue ribbons. And may every hand who touches them feel a little less alone in the sorrows that they carry. And let these ribbons find their way outside into the open air and the light of day for all to behold on the branches of our magnolia tree. And let them be a blessing to all who notice them. Let them in some mysterious, magical way convey that in this place, in this church, at this time of year, your multitudes and the multitudes of all people who pass them have a home here, in this place of refuge and peace. And so I say amen. Can I get an amen? I'm going to place this basket on the joys and sorrows table for you. And now let us deepen our blessing time. Michael Collins is going to sing O Come, Emmanuel for us now. This is a Christmas hymn that reminds us to rejoice in the whole. Rejoice in the whole. So may it be our blue Christmas closing prayer today. Amen.